It's very important. If you don't hear good, if you mix up the sounds and everything, you're not taking in the right sequence from the microphone or whatever. You think it's coming from mic 2 and it's really coming from mic 3. No audio is coming from mic 2. You can mess up the whole show that way. Many tapes have been played without audio because people weren't listening to the right stuff.
And you also need to be set for sound in the studio because you need to know your surroundings, you need to know your directions, you need to make sure everything is going at the same pace as the directors, the floor directors, the cameras, the talent on the stage, and everybody's ready. So you need directions, and you need to be able to listen to the directions that are given to you before, during, and after the show.
Hi, my name is Janae Cannon, and I'm a part of the chamber choir. Hearing is a very important part of chamber choir because a lot of times we have performances and we already know basically the starting notes, but sometimes, you know, we might not know the key it's in, so we would have the pianist press or, you know, get on the piano and give us our notes, and that's another key thing. It's very important to listen because if we didn't hear the starting note, then it's very hard to get on the same key. Another important thing about sound, I would say, in chamber is intervals and different notes that you have to hear while you're singing, because if you don't know the note that you're singing, then it's kind of hard to actually sing that note. You know, if someone says, okay, sing an A flat, I can't do it by myself. I need you to play it on the piano, basically. So it's a very important part in singing, and in chamber especially, because we're a group, so it's not like you're singing by yourself. It's not going to be punched out for you. You need help. You need someone to give you that note, that starting note, while we're singing.
Hearing is important for sound editing, because if you have just a slight pop in your soundtrack, that it may be subconscious, but the viewers are going to hear it, and it may take their concentration away, and maybe your interview might not come out so clear, or whatever you're shooting wouldn't come out as adequate as you want.
My name's Joe Filio, and I'm in creative writing. Listening for is pretty important because the lead artist will read a story, and then we have to in something called recall, we have to pick a moment from that story and talk about it, and then make a comment about it, like how we felt about it or something. So listening is pretty important, and we have to pay attention.
Note to the editor. We want to cook real food, I say.
Tasting, because you don't want, your customer to be eating, or not customer, person, taster, whatever you want to call them, to be eating a bland cookie, or, so tasting is a big part of it.
In culinary arts, you have to taste a lot of things. It's all about tasting, and it's all about what you like to taste.
Right now with the apples, we're making apple strudel.
Could you give us an approximate time that it would take to make the apple strudel?
Like 45 minutes.
my jelly roll, I like to put buttercream. Culinary Kitchen, we make jelly rolls and chocolate.
We're tired of cooking sweets. We're tired of it. We want no white teeth. We want some food. Thank you, thank you. That was me, not being ghetto. Bye.
Adams.
Thank you.
Basically, everything you do in a scene is based on your character, and in order to be true to the character, you really need to visualize how they would react. Example would be if they're shy, would they cry in public, or would they kind of just sit there in silence? With scripts and stuff like that, it's pretty much set down. You know the lines, you know what you're going to say. But with improv, the process is quicker. It's kind of like the spur of the moment. You get a sketch of what your character is, and you do it.
You want to make sure that everything is in proportion. Proportion is a really big thing. You don't want to have someone with a really big hand and a really small head or something like that. So you want to make sure you get it down on paper and everything flows well. So if you grid it, once you draw it on the paper first, and then you get it to all the correct proportions, and once you grid it, you know that everything is right where you want it to be.
I've been explaining to the students that your eye should wander through the painting. Now, it can either be in the form of an S shape, like a snake or a river, where one thing leads to another one. Could be in a C shape, could be L shape, but it must wander through the painting. Everybody has a gift for something. And an artist has this gift, and he can sit in a room. If the wallpaper's not on straight, or there's a picture hanging at a bit of a slant, that will be picked up straight away by him, where an ordinary person would go in there and he wouldn't even notice it. But that other person has the gift of something else. It could be anything. Could be cooking, could be sewing. Everybody has this gift, but we call it an artist's eye.
If you notice that, like, if you're talking to a person and they're using their eyes a lot, it's because it tells you that they can't hear. So they use their eyes for pretty much everything.
When you're signing to a person, you always want your palm to show to the deaf person or the hard of hearing person. Because she says if you don't know sign language and you use your spelling, deaf people can understand as well. But it's always important to remember that you want to use your palm hand and have it facing towards that person. So if for example, if I'm talking to Tova, I'm always going to show her my palm. I'm never going to show her my backhand because the complete form of the sign, you can't see it. So that's one thing that we focus on when we're talking to each other.
Touch.
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 Touch as well, because that way it's like you get like a personal experience with your artwork.
touch is actually really important in improv, what we're doing now, and just in our other fields. The reason why it's important is because you obviously get a sense of your space and the sense of how the other characters relate to you, and obviously, like, for physical theater, it's very important also.
Touch is very important when playing the guitar. The amount of touch you put onto the strings with your fingers, it's very important. That the amount of pressure you put on, it changes the different sounds you get. The more pressure you put on to the strings and where you put the pressure onto the strings changes the sound of the instrument.
I've heard that smell is the deepest memory that you can have, and how just a simple smell can trigger things that make you think of other senses. The way your grandma's kitchen smells, it might trigger very old memories. Cigar smell triggers thoughts of like old corporate businessmen.
To like enrich the poem, people often talk about like smelling and like the smell of like a room or a house, or the smell of like a specific season. So I guess that has a lot to do with poetry.
What's your favorite smell?
Orange chicken. French fries. Baked bread.
Cigarettes.
Oh, that cookie shop down the street? Did you ever smell? I just walk like by it just to smell it. I never bought anything there in my life. I just love the smell.
Pizza. And what's your least favorite smell?
Downtown Aldi's.
Garbage.
Breathing is probably the most important aspect of performance.
Breathing is important because that's the only way you can get your sound out, is if you put air through the horn.
My name is Jesus Segura and I play trombone. Breathing is important because first you need to learn how to control your breathing by knowing when to breathe in while you're playing, and you need to learn how to exercise your lungs also. And you have to keep your breath strong so you can, before you give the phrase, just have a nice strong amount of breath so you can complete the good phrase and your lungs. It's a combination that you need to learn how to control how much air you're going to put into your instrument at a certain time when the music tells you to.
In performance, breathing is important in a number of ways. First, for wind players, that's how you get your sound, by either buzzing your lips for a trumpet or blowing through the reed. So you have to, over the years, build up a large amount of tidal volume in your lungs so that you could take a deep breath and play out with a nice full sound.
And it's important because being that we use air to produce the sound, variance in air pressure, air speed, how the air moves through the instrument is what gives us our dynamics, which is our highs and lows, how loud or soft we play. It gives us our range, which is how high or low we play. It gives us our tone, color, or quality, which is how maybe dark our sound can be or how bright.
My name is Tony Herrera. I play trombone. Breathing is important because you have to phrase like different bars and you need to have enough air to support different phrases and stuff, like whole notes.
Basically, what I could tell any other musician or anyone that wants to learn how to become a musician is take your time, be patient, relax, and just have goals, have strong goals, and you'll achieve whatever you want, and that can go for anything else.